For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joe Gaither, right here with Katie Wyndham, Will Miller, and Hunter DeCipher. We're outside Bryant-Denny Stadium, where the Crimson Tide just completed their second and final fall scrimmage. There's now 2 weeks until Alabama travels down to Tallahassee, so everything's almost set before the 2025 season opener. We just heard from head coach Kalen DeBoer. You can check out all the coverage right there on BamaCentral.com, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. Katie Wyndham, what'd you make from the 15 minutes that we heard from Coach Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, it was, I'd say, a pretty typical Kalen DeBoer press conference. Y'all can also go check that out on the Bama Central YouTube page where, he's not going to reveal a ton. I think you kind of have to go at it with direct things. And so Joe started it out with the special teams. That's a big question mark for Alabama coming into this season. Sounds like things weren't necessarily great today for kicking and punting. But as we kind of just talked about in the media room, there's lots of championship teams in Alabama that did not have great special teams. Is it a bonus? Yeah. Is it great if it's good? Of course. But it doesn't sound
like... Will Reichard missed sorely.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's great for Alabama right now. So I think that's something, and I don't think that's necessarily something that can be fixed in 2 weeks. But starting out on the road is going to be a tall task for the special teams because you're going to have a lot of pressure punting and kicking. And so I think that's interesting. And then just overall, guys kind of finding their spots here 2 weeks before the season with classes starting this week. And then next week will already be game week. So it's crazy. It's really kind of, as Tim Keenan talked about earlier this week, it's time for guys to figure out where they are, learn the playbook. Do you know what you're supposed to be doing? Or you're going to be on the scout team for a couple weeks.
Will Miller, what'd you take away from Kalen DeBoer in the second scrimmage?
I thought it was very curious that he wasn't willing to name a starting return specialist yet, because I kind of figured Cole Adams was a shoo-in for that, particularly that punt spot, and he probably still is. In all truth, like Katie said, Kalen's just not going to wear it on his sleeve, and that just kind of is what it is. But he threw some names out there. He threw Jalen Mbakwe out there, and there's been so many questions about what level of playing time he'll have after switching from the DB room over to wide receiver, and some speculation that he may have just nuked his playing time by doing that. His special teams may be a way that he makes inroads for himself in that regard. Could be a possibility. He did mention Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. I do think those two are probably your emergency contingency options if they're out there fielding kicks. Somebody else has probably gone down. Cole Adams did get hurt last year. Rico Scott runs nearly 24 miles an hour. Kalen mentioned him. I have a story about this over on BamaCentral.com right now. I personally would like to see him run in open space, whether that's a wide receiver or at the kickoff return spot. But we'll see what happens there. I would imagine Cole Adams probably starts at punt return, kick return. He might do both, but if he doesn't do both, if I have to name somebody else, I'll go with Jalen Mbakwe, just because.
I would say that I do think it's less that they don't know and more that they just don't want to reveal before the season opener necessarily who's going to be doing those roles.
And Hunter DeCipher, what did you take away from the last scrimmage in Bryant-Denny Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, going into the week, we found out who will be the quarterback finally. I mean, we all knew it was going to be Ty Simpson. It finally became official on Monday. Ryan Grubb said earlier in the week the reason for it, and Kalen DeBoer, for the first time, touched on it. They did say that on this date or so would be the actual day that they would announce it, but they did early in the week, and Kalen DeBoer basically said that, like, right then and there seemed like the good time to do it. And what we saw from Ty Simpson today was he could run a little bit. Kalen DeBoer mentioned that he uses his legs, which people will underestimate this season. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, people wouldn't necessarily say that he was a pure pocket passer, but they wouldn't say he was a true dual threat either. So we might see a little bit of mix of running in this season.
Just to clarify, we did not actually see anything today. Yeah. We were not allowed, the media is not allowed access to the scrimmage. Just in case y'all were asking us for more details, we did not actually see anything. Just talk to Kalen after the scrimmage.
Will Miller, Hunter DeCipher, and Katie Wyndham. I'm Joe Gaither. We are outside Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we've got 2 more weeks until Alabama kicks off against Florida State. So stick with us right here on Alabama Crimson Tide on SI, BamaCentral.com. We'll take you through the last week of fall camp, and then it'll be game week, so it's right here. The 2025 season is right here upon us. We'll be back with more coverage right here on BamaCentral at BamaCentral.com.